What you doing? I'm talking Tanner, the theacstories. So this is alcohol anime. Another alcohol and anime. Oh, look at me. I wish I would have thought about that before starting. Anyways, of course, this is alcohol anime. Another alcohol anime. Holy shit. Okay. It was a decent one. Of course, what I watched was another, and what I drank was a lot of tequila. Okay. Another. I'll get to that and why, but first let's talk about the drink because I already spoiled it. I was pleasantly surprised. So this is. I'll give you the name first because this is another try. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, this we watched another. Obviously, it's gonna be another one. No, yeah, it almost was another one. Well, okay, because I did have another one, and then I did have another one. But no, this is another try, and the reason it is for a couple reasons. One, um, this is the I watched the another anime first. A long time ago. I don't remember too much from it, besides it being gory. But then I'm watching the live action for this, or I watched the live action for this. So it's like I watched another try, or gave it another try. And then, as far as the drink goes, I gave a tequila another try, and it was bad. I don't remember exactly when I got this tequila. I know I drank it for when I did the Jujutsu Kaisen hidden inventory. I don't remember if I had it already or if I got it for something else beforehand. But it was bad. It's Monte Alban Reposado. Um, Reposado. It was just mixed together with whatever I was drinking then. It was okay. It got a little better. You could cut it a bit. By itself, it was rough. It was hard, and I have not touched it since Jujutsu Kaisen. But it's October. It's spooky season, I guess. I was wanting to try to watch something spooky or whatever, and I needed a spooky drink, and I couldn't really think of anything. And it was literally, I thought I was going to put this out late. Luckily, I had another week until Halloween, before the last Thursday of the month. And luckily, I went to a haunted house. A series of haunted houses. There's 4 of them. They're okay, but one of the drinks they had for that you could buy or whatever was liquid death. And I always thought liquid death was kind of stupid. It's expensive water, sparkling water. I didn't understand it. I don't know why you want canned water like this, anyways. I don't know. So I never gave it a chance, but now I decided to try. Mainly because I kept seeing it there. It has like it's called Liquid Death. It kind of has like that skull or dead face on it, anyways. And I was like, okay, it fits the season. This tequila's bad enough. It scares me. And to be clear, tequila does not normally scare me. It's this tequila. It's just because it's bad. It's not the worst tequila I've ever had. Is also the sad part. I feel like I am talking so bad today. Um, mm, yeah. So it's not the worst. The worst I had at some trashy country bar that I didn't want to go to in Nashville. It was terrible. Nashville used to have good places. Somebody just drug us there, and we were just being nice, and it was the worst tequila. I don't think I spit anything out so fast and felt so bad after not drinking something. And then the second worst tequila I ever had was Kirkman brand. I had a friend who loves Kirkman brand, or at least drinks it a lot. So this is, I guess, the third worst tequila I've had. But I got the Liquid Death. I don't know what flavors they actually have, but I just looked through the 3 I saw on the shelf, and the one that seemed the most fitting was called Killer Cola. One, I was cool with it. If it's cola flavored, that will help and kind of mix with the tequila a bit. Also, just water. You can sometimes cut tequila with water a bit. So, as far as a drink goes, it shouldn't be too bad theoretically. And then when I mixed them, and that was actually pretty good. I mean, even the tequila wasn't that bad. And you don't have to cut it that much. I did, being just not like, I'll say 1 part tequila, 3 parts water, maybe maybe there was more tequila in it. I'm saying you don't have to cut it that much, even though I'm not crazy about the tequila. I didn't need that much liquid death to make it actually taste pretty decent. Of course, you add a little more liquid death, it gets a little lighter. You get to a point where it's not that great. I do prefer to still have a bit of the tequila flavor in it. Like this glass, I probably could have had a little bit, but yeah. Also, I don't know. But I didn't want to have to get up too many times to pour me another one. Well, I have them sitting next to me, but I don't have that much liquid death left. So yeah. And I'll have the photos of I mean, it's 2 things. It's easy, but I still have it's in the thumbnail picture. And stuff like that. I might post it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, it was a pretty simple drink. I'm actually happy with it. The theme of it, I forced it in there maybe, but it is a theme. It does fit with it. Is another try. It's another film. It's a try in general for the Liquid Death. I don't know what else could have been more fitting, because it's not like this movie has a drink. I don't know. A Liquid Death. This movie's all about death. Huh. So that's the best I got, and that's what I'm going to get. So it went from me being almost lazy to, it actually kind of worked out, I guess. But I feel like that's also how most of these go. I need to start doing better at making drinks. It's okay, because I have other stuff lined up. Hopefully I'll have time to make drinks for them. Okay, so there's not really anything else I need to say about the drink, the alcohol part of this. It was simple. It's actually pretty good. It's making me feel pretty good. So let's just move on to me talking about the film. Let's start with why I chose Another. So, like I said, it's October. Scary, Halloweeny, creepy. You just want something to make you fearful in a different way than just the world's current state. So, I was just looking through whatever I could find. I have a bunch of stuff saved, and apparently only one seems Halloween-esque of my list. I was originally going to watch Puppet Princess. That seems like, maybe I could force it in there. There are, but it's only like 40 some minutes long. It's like, that's not enough. Maybe it'll be a trick or a treat, depending on how you feel about me talking. It'll just be a short one. But no, I didn't want to do that. I started watching Night of the Living Cat, and it's like, that's, kind of a parody of zombies, and maybe that could work. But I'm halfway through the season, and it's like, I didn't want to rewatch anything. I didn't actually really. I don't have time to watch. Well, how long would half the season be? I don't know. I didn't want to watch another series, especially in the way that one is. And then I was like, okay, well, have I done a live action this month? I was just looked up horror anime, or horror anime movies, I guess is what I searched, and I didn't really get much. But I did get some live action. I got a whole bunch of live actions, but this is not live action based off of anime and alcohol, or alcohol and live action based off of anime, or anime live actions. I don't know, whatever. So I try not to do them too much, and I thought I did Uzumaki, the live action of Uzumaki, last Halloween. Apparently I didn't. For some reason I did it. I think it was in February. But that's long enough, right? So I was like, I'll do it, because it's kind of the only thing I can find that is themes. But while I was looking through this, I realized there's a whole lot of Tomie films, and some of them I had access to and could watch. There's also physical version of Tomia that I keep wanting to get, but I haven't got around to it because buying movies, a hard copy is just expensive, especially when it's not the typical vendors or sites selling it. Anyways, so yeah, that's how it was. I watched it weirdly. I looked it up, and there's a free streaming service called Plex, free with ads. It's a legitimate one. It's not a pirated one, which I always am going to opt for. Always, and let me make it clear. Always opt for the legal, especially if it's free. That way, there's no excuse. Ways to watch stuff. And that's also where I saw there was a bunch of Tomy, but Plex is a weird thing because it shows you a lot of stuff, but not everything's on there. But it gives you ways to get to the other streamings. Like, what was the other one? Like Falsum or Pulse? I don't know. And that's where you could get the other Tomie stuff. So I didn't want to go from one app to another app. So I just stuck with another. Also, because that was my original thing. Also, another is a bit longer than the Tomio things. If I would want to watch Tomie, I would need to watch two of them. And I didn't want to do that because then two of them would be longer than one another. And that's maybe a bit too much. So yeah, I stuck with another. Also because, I was curious mainly. I was just really curious about how the live action would be. When I watched the anime a long time ago, whenever the anime, I don't know if it was when it first released. I can kind of guess. 2016, I think I watched it. 2016 or 2017. One of those years, because I was still in my undergrad. Finishing up my undergrad at least. Not saying that's when that anime came out. That's just when I found it and started watching it. I think. I don't know. Let's see when the... Also, I'm pretty... Did this actually start out as a novel? Yeah, it did. It wasn't even a manga, I don't think. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a manga. Originally. The anime came out. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Oh. I didn't look up anything about this. Whoa, there's sequels? Dude. I kind of want... I might need to look into some of these sequels. Anyways, I think I've seen that some of the sequels. I kind of just forgot about them. So, yeah, I watched it way after it had already been out. Yeah, so I was just mainly curious, how do they differ? It's been a while, been almost 10 years at this point. So how does it compare to what I remember? And it felt like some of it was kind of coming back to me. Then I also feel like, well, of course the show is going to have a lot more time to do stuff than a film, and you can kind of feel that towards the end. So yeah, that's why I decided on it. It was, yeah, just a simple plan. It was kind of almost a desperate one because I was like, oh, I only have a week left. October went by fast. October went by so fast. I don't know why. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I'm just looking at up stuff now while I'm talking. I'm just seeing other information I didn't realize just from watching. I guess that makes sense. So let's talk about the educational parts of Another. I kind of already talked a bit about it. So, originally, Another was a novel. Yep, cool. Written by Yukito Ayasuji, published by Kadokawa Shoten. English publisher by Impress. Huh. In 2009. Yeah. Eventually, there was manga adaptations. 2010, 2011, a couple. The anime came out January 10th, 2012 to March 27th, 2012. 12 episodes, which I watched. And then, apparently, since there's been a couple sequels, series or novels, something like that, which I don't know what they're about, but interesting either way. And then the film came out on August 4th, 2012, which is weird. My assumption this whole time was the film came out before the anime, and that's why it just feels like it was cut off or shorter or whatever, and then eventually the anime finished it, something like that. But I guess not. That's a bold thing to do. That is, yeah, very bold to do. I would have done it the opposite way, maybe. Or just had more time in between. There's a few months between the anime finishing and this film coming out. I don't know. It was released by Toho, though. Directed by Takeshi Furusawa. The screenplay written by Yukiko Tanaka and Takeshi Furusawa also. Yeah. It's decently long. It's not super short, which was surprising. Almost an hour. It's 109 minutes, almost hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it's almost a 2 hour movie, which is cool. It could have been a 2 hour movie. Maybe you could fit a little bit more in there. But no, I guess not. So notable things about this is there's a familiar face in this. I didn't realize it until I started it, but Alice from Alice in Borderland is in here, and that's also another one I considered doing for this month, but I had already watched it late, but I guess I could have. But no, but yeah, Kento Yamazaki, as a lot of people now know, probably from Alice in Borderland. But yeah, unless I'm just stupid, let me make sure. Am I? I really hope this is. This whole time I was like, are you from Alice in Borderland? I never actually checked. Huh. Yeah, it is from Alice in Borderland. I never actually checked. Hey, no worries. I recognize the face. No man, I might just sound worse. Yeah. So I was like, oh, you're Alice. Irison. But yeah, so that was cool. I feel like there's another Japanese name is Anazu. Anaza. I guess that's a way to say another. I don't know. I wonder why. I think I would probably speculate at the end, but I guess I have a theory as to why it's called Anaza, another. Yeah. Anything else to talk about educationally wise about another? I don't think I do. I think that's it. Yeah, it was a novel. Anime came out, which surprised me before the film. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been 13 years since it came out. I don't know if 5.6 million US dollar at least is good for a box office. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, let's just talk about it. Maybe if I remember something, I will. Actually, I am a little disappointed they did not put who did music for this on here. Because, or who did sound effects or folio or whatever it was. Because, I'll get to that. So, let's just run through another. The live action. Just however I can. So, okay. There's a lot. I took a lot of notes for this one. I mean, one thing I kind of like is throughout the film it's split up. It's not split up by days, but it shows each time there's a new day or a break in days or a little bit of time has passed with a date. So it helps me keep up with like, okay, well, how much time is passing through all of this? I think all of it happens pretty quickly. I'm getting real burpy for some reason. Oh, I mean, I know the reason, but I'm just getting real burpy. Okay, so yeah, I guess it all takes place in like the summer almost. in about the length of a summer. So we're going to start. It is April 19th, 1998, and Yomiyama and our main character named Koichi. Last name Sakaki Bara, yeah, is being rushed to the hospital. While I guess that is happening, or at some time, Koichi is having a dream, of a warning of moving to a new place or something like that, and seeing people or someone in dreams. Koichi's confused. I'm kind of confused, but then Koichi wakes up and follows some person with an eye patch, another child-looking one. And who's eventually we learn his name is Mei Misaki, pretty much the other protagonist of this, I guess. One of the other main characters, but follows Mei to the morgue, and who disappears. I'll go ahead and say, they try to set it up as Mei being just this creepy person doing creepy things, and Mei might be, but then, like halfway through the film, you kind of lose all that creepiness from Mei, and like it's nice because like you humanize the character more. But it's also like, well, what happened to all those other quirks you were doing? Why were you doing all that, and why does it seem like you just stopped? I mean, at least keep doing them and just make it seem somewhat normal. So I guess that's a criticism right off the bat. It was a shift that I'm just now realizing didn't make any sense. Why were you doing all this other weird stuff? Okay, so some time passes. Koichi's staying in a hospital. And if you're aware of how Japanese school systems work, they usually start in April. So school is already starting. And then Koichi joins on May 6th at the junior high. Yes, junior high, pretty much middle school. Yeah. And I'll say that the actors do not look like middle schoolers. They look, I don't know. It's because I've taught middle schoolers, and they seem like they're so much more like children than these actors. And I don't remember in the original novel, well, I didn't read a novel, or anime, if they were also middle school, junior high students, or if they were high school students. But yeah, apparently they're junior high for some reason in this, but they're like high schools. And I looked up the age of the actors, and they're pretty much high school age for the most part. Anyway, so yeah, they're in junior high for some reason. And then Mei is in the same class as Koichi, and Koichi has a staring problem. And it seems like no one else definitely has a staring problem. Nobody else seems to acknowledge that Koichi keeps trying to acknowledge someone. Anyway, so, school's going on. Koichi's aunt named Reiko. Yeah. Apparently it's going to be Koichi's teacher. And you're like, didn't see you there. Because mom died. I think it's not too clear about when it happens. I'm pretty sure it happened when Koichi was born. And now Koichi is living with the grandma because dad is moved overseas to India for work. But yeah, and apparently there are rules about the school. The school in general, it seems like more like superstitions that Reiko talk about or mention. I don't think they actually talk. There was one that's actually ever, I remember at least, and it was like a third year shouldn't run down the hill or fall down the hill behind the school or something weird like that. And that was it. But, if there were rules, probably should make those rules clear. But Reiko doesn't. Anyway, so Koichi is always keeping an eye out for Mei. Who, did I say that Mei seems to always be wearing an eye patch? So yeah, that was a joke maybe. For me, that I wrote my notes. And then apparently there's a librarian creeper. Who, I feel like, I don't remember, there's a student that called the librarian a creeper. I don't remember if it was just creeper, if it was like a creeper on May or like watching out with May or something. But if it was, that means a student acknowledged May way earlier, so maybe not. Or maybe they did. There's some stuff in this that makes no sense. And I'm going to point those out. This one might not be. It might just be me not remembering fully how it was worded. Anyways, So the students, some of them, eventually tell Koichi of a story about how long ago there was a student named Misaki, and yes, same last name as May, I guess, um, who died, and the class replaced Misaki with a doll, not being able to accept the death, and so for the rest of the year, or until graduation, which would be the rest of the year, they just kept this doll there, acting like it was Misaki. And then at the end of the year, I guess they were like, fuck it, we're graduating. This dog doesn't matter anymore. And I guess that upset the ghost of the doll, and something bad started to happen. I don't know. There's more to the story later. Anyways, eventually Koichi goes to a place called M's Atelier. Just looking for... I don't know why. I don't remember if I just missed it. And like Koichi's reason for going, or we're just supposed to assume... think Koichi was maybe just going looking for info about a doll. And we've seen Misaki, or May, with this doll, or with a doll. And then Koichi gets there to discover, wow, it's May. May is also there. And reveals the eye patch to show a blue eye. Not a white dragon, just a blue eye. And yeah. That happens. What the fuck? Look at my notes. I don't do anything. I just jump around all over the place. So, yeah. And then, none of the students are clear about what Koichi should or shouldn't be doing. They give vague, weird things. And it kind of makes sense because you're not supposed to acknowledge something. How do you talk about it? How do you warn someone that you're not supposed to talk about something you can't talk about? And I get it's kind of like that. But also, maybe you should have figured it out because you know there's grave circumstances or whatever. But people keep warning Koichi to stop snooping around the invisible or someone will die. Ooh. So May 28th. Let me get a drink for this because shit's about to go down. It's about to pop off, you know what I'm saying? May 28th. There, I guess the groundskeeper is burning brush and stuff in a little barrel and just throws a bag out because someone's like, hey, the roof is leaking. Even though the roof is like 2 or 3 stories up, it's somehow leaking on the ground floor. Which made this is one of the stupidest moments. I was like, I mean, maybe it was. I don't know. But I feel like that has to be so bad if the roof is leaking and it's somehow dripping straight down to the bottom floor. Something's going on there. And maybe that's the most horrifying thing of this whole film. I don't know. But yeah, so the groundskeeper rushes in to go take care of that leak. Never does. I mean, it just disappears. Don't know where those two actually went. But yeah. So there's a roof, and then Koichi goes looking for May, or just runs out of class to go look at something. Then a student who I guess is Koichi's seatmate. I don't know. I don't know why I say I guess. It is Koichi's seatmate, named Sakuragi. Is trying to catch up to Koichi, but then sees Koichi with May and is like, I told you can't do that. Something bad's gonna happen. You broke the rule that nobody told you about. You broke it. And then Sakuragi is like backing up or trying to flee. But then in the bag that the groundskeeper threw into the fire, there's actually a can, and then the can explodes, and then the explosion makes Sakuragi slip on that puddle that somehow came all the way from the roof, and then Sakuragi falls back and gets impaled on a pointy part of an umbrella and dies. I'm not laughing because he died. Just a lot of Final Destination feels coming from this, but also just like, it's fucking stupid. It's like, and then the reaction is just like, huh, oh shit, well, that happened. There's not really any reaction for a while. They don't panic, they don't run and go get help. Eventually some other people come and see it and they kind of panic. No one still gets help, but eventually adults come and try to keep people away or do whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But by doing this, Sakuragi also acknowledges Mei is there. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But yeah, nobody wanted to explain the rule, but everyone wanted Koichi to follow it. How do you expect that to happen? Anyways, later, there's a nurse Koichi has been talking to, kind of getting advice from. Koichi has kind of been talking and asking questions to this nurse too about the whole what is the rule or what is going on with all the rumors and stuff, or with Mei. And then eventually, I guess the nurse goes and talks to a sibling who's in Koichi's class. The sibling eventually tells Koichi to stop talking to the nurse, which Koichi does and listens to. Sees the nurse in the elevator and is like, nah, bye, you do you. So the nurse does do the thing, which is go in an elevator. And then the elevator starts shaking. And it shakes so violently that a mirror that's in the elevator shatters and a big chunk of it impales the nurse in the face and the nurse dies. I was like, what? So yeah, this curse doesn't just affect students, it affects the families of students too. Yeah. And so it's just, yeah, this is when it all takes off. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Sure. And so, and I'll say at this point, I feel like the anime was a lot more brutal and a lot more death and stuff. I feel like this doesn't have as many deaths. The effects are just so cheesy. I recently, because it's, I guess, October, I've been watching a lot of horror stuff. I recently watched the original Night of the Living Dead, which came out in the 60s, and the effects of that were also kind of cheesy. Like, they don't really show stuff, they like pan away, or it's just weird. This is almost just as bad as that. Almost worse, because they do try to somewhat show it, and it still just looks bad. That's the whole example. And while I was kind of wanting to call out the sound effects person, it's just so cheesy. The death scenes, the sound effects, all of it are just cheesy. So when I talk about all these deaths coming up, just imagine they're cheesier. They're just done a lot worse. They're not cool deaths. Well, no, deaths in general aren't cool, but they're not like wow deaths. There's like, okay. Anyways, so that's going on. And now it is June 8th, and everyone decides, or there's been a discussion. Actually, if I remember correctly, Reiko leads this discussion. I think so. That's interesting. That is interesting. So everyone's just going to ignore Koichi now too, and Mei finally explains the rule that at the beginning of the school year, I guess every year for class 3-3, I don't know if I ever said the class. Someone has to be considered invisible, and that so at the beginning of the year, this year they were drawing numbers or just drawing something to see who was going to be invisible. Someone drew it originally, but then Mei volunteers, and then the teacher even straight up says, tell Koichi about this when Koichi transfers to the school in a month. And nobody does. All of this could have been avoided if you did the one thing. This is why students should listen to their teachers a bit more. Now you got a dead student, a dead nurse. More to come. Yeah. So, yeah. Mei and Koichi are now both invisible, because they think that's going to help for some reason. And Koichi goes back to where Mei stays. I guess it's not really Mei's house, or it is, and Mei's just being a weird teenager. But Koichi meets Kirika, the person who makes the dolls. Doesn't want Mei to have any friends. Seems like an overprotective parent. I'm not exactly sure Kirika is Mei's parent or not. Maybe is the legal guardian for now, or as of now. Don't know the exact relationship. But apparently May likes the dolls, but not Karika. But for some reason, Karika is overprotective. For whatever reason, I guess because of the eye. Maybe it is, and or maybe Karika is May's parent. I don't know. None of that is completely clear. But yeah, now that May and Koichi are both invisible, they just have fun together. And now this is when May is like less weird about things and just seems to be a normal kid. And it's like you could have still been kind of weird, but no, just they're just kids now, which is fine. But they're just having a good time. I guess some time's passed, nobody's dying, so that's cool. Uh, then they decide they need to start investigating what was going on. So they go to investigate the librarian's office, the library who does have a name that I didn't realize or pay attention to until the end, whose name is Chibiki. So they go to the librarian's office, who has like a board of news articles and stuff like this, trying to piece everything together. And apparently, Chibiki was the original teacher, if I'm interpreting everything right, from 26 years ago. After Misaki Yomiyama, which I'm pretty sure I checked carefully, and it is the name of the town or village or wherever they live at. So, interesting that happened. Maybe that's why there is a ghost, because they let the namesake of the town die like this. I don't know. Anyways, so this Misaki died, and then the other deaths started happening. So it seems like either I don't know if this was the next year deaths started happening, or it was the same year after Misaki died that the deaths started happening. I don't think it was really clear on that, or maybe I'm just, like I said, it's just everything's going by. I'm trying to keep up, but man, this is I don't like saying semantics, but it kind of is almost just semantics. It's like, well, how are you actually saying it? Because it could be meant different ways, and maybe I'm just mixing stuff up. I don't know, but eventually, deaths did start. Kids started dying, their families started dying. A lot of it just seems like accidents, but it kept happening, and then the whole class was dead. And then, Chibiki, it just shows a scene. I don't know if it's actually what's happening in the scene or it's just in Chibiki's head, but Chibiki is going through the empty classroom, doing a roll call on the empty desk, and is getting answers from students, which that part may have just been in Chibiki's head. I don't think it was like, wait a minute. Or maybe it was. There's something weird that goes on in this, and it's like, I don't really know what it is. I don't know if everything's pieced together completely. And maybe it is. Maybe I'm just interpreting it wrong. So, I think I'm starting to piece it together in my head, or I can logic through it enough to make it make sense on my own, even if it didn't make sense in the film. So, I think this is actually what gives the whole thing away, now that I think about it. Chibiki is going through this classroom, and all the dead students are giving a answer, but then it gets to a desk that shouldn't be there, and there should be no student there. And I'm going to go ahead. Oh, spoiler alert for everything. I know I already kind of just said it, but this is actually the spoiler, the twist, or kind of like the premise, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, of what happens in this film. So if you haven't watched it yet, I'm about to actually tell you how it ends or what the whole deal with this is. But now that I'm thinking about it, Chibiki doing this kind of does give away, because another in this class, maybe this wasn't the original class, maybe this was the class of the next year. That would make somewhat of a sense, because if this is the class of the next year, then you saw in the original story that was told, they were taking pictures. The doll was in the background, kind of getting forgot about. And when Chibiki was taking the picture, you kind of see like a blurred ghost thing in a corner. Well, if this is the next year, and then all the students died, and then Chibiki realizes there was an extra desk. There was another desk that wasn't supposed to be there. And then as future comes on, it seems like it's a different ghost year. So it's not just the original class that it comes from. It could be anyone that dies from the curse can come back as a ghost. Because at the end, it's a more recent. It's definitely someone who wasn't in the original class that comes back as the ghost. Interesting. Oh, especially, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anyone that dies from the curse can come back as the ghost. It's not just the original class. So I guess the original class didn't die. Well, maybe they did, but not from this. But the original another was whatever that was. I guess Masaki. And then as everyone died, they each had the chance to also become a ghost. Interesting. This may actually be the first time where I have actually stuff has made more sense with me talking about it. Because normally I feel like the more I talk about something, the less it makes sense or the more holes I punch through this. I think I'm actually talking this into making sense. Huh. Good job, me. I don't know. And it does kind of make more sense as I go and talk about it. Because at first it's like, okay, whatever. Okay. And some of it maybe was just how bad some of the stuff is portrayed threw me off. But yeah, no, a lot of it is starting to make more sense. Cool. Okay. So let's continue on. Yeah. The Chibiku was going through that roll call, found another desk that didn't belong there. And then another big thing is apparently the curse alters memories once the year passes. Just alters memories in general. And the only clue Chibiku really has is the fact that the victims are still dead. You don't really know much more than that. You can barely remember what happens, but you can't, I guess, erase the fact completely that there were a bunch of kids here that are now not here anymore. Well, the bodies are still here, but they're dead. So, after another dream, Koichi suspects himself of being the ghost. For whatever weird reason. And then we get a bit more backstory of May's eye. Apparently, at the age of 4, was replaced for some reason. Now that eye sees the color of death, or death's color, or whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah, I thought it was going to play a bigger part. It does actually play a part eventually, I guess, and it makes sense. The eye, which is blue. I don't know if I mentioned that, by the way. It's a blue eye. Oh, I did, because I made the watch Ranger. Shoo, hoo, 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 hoo. It's tequila. Dang, it almost tricks me into thinking this tequila's good. Anyways. Yeah. So, yeah. That was it. Just a random thing that gets thrown in there, and maybe I'm not remembering the whole scene, but that was the main thing to take away. Now, it is July 6th. An adult teacher, I think it's the main teacher, like maybe the main homeroom teacher or whatever of the class, because I don't think I remember seeing this teacher anymore. This teacher, while feeding either a spouse or maybe another parent, I don't know, some old person, this teacher's feeding an old person, and then power goes out, slips on paper or something, and then stabs a spoon, I guess pointy part of the spoon, into her eye, and then panics, kind of out of senses, and jams it even further into the eye and dies. And then one of the students named Yamada is hit by a car after the brakes fail. So 2 people dying right back after thinking they were all going to be safe. So it turns out the curse is not over. Yeah. So now we're learning more information. A lot of just learning about stuff. And I'm fine with that, actually. But apparently we learn that Koichi's mom died while Reiko, the younger sibling, the aunt who is the younger sibling of the mother, was in class 3-3. Oh, so I assuming the curse is the reason Koichi's mother died. And then Reiko is going through stuff, is just in the office, And on this whole time, Reiko's trying to keep like a school life and personal life separate. I don't understand why, but I don't know. Reiko's also not being very helpful, anyways. But Reiko is going through stuff and eventually sees a class trip photo that Reiko doesn't remember, but is dated. I think it was October 3rd, or maybe it was or 8th. Oh, 10/8, which may have also just been August 10th, because sometimes they're backwards, which would make more sense of why they went to this in August. No, they didn't. Huh. Yeah, they did. Huh. I don't know. Anyways. Yeah, apparently they went on a trip, or Reiko went on a trip as a kid while in this class. Now, Koichi and Mei go to the old wing, which was unlocked for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why they always keep old buildings around. Why not use them for something? I've seen old schoolhouses, and they usually get used. Well, usually they turn into community centers and stuff like that. But why especially you see them on campus and you see them on shows. This isn't just a Japanese thing. They keep old school buildings or old wings or whatever, and they don't do anything with them. Why? I just finished watching the dub of Ghost Stories, and fuck yeah. Fuck! Oh, that's what I should have done. Oh, I ruined the whole thing. I should have done Ghost Stories for this. Oh, that would have been great. Should I delete this? Can I go and rewatch Ghost Stories? Oh, maybe I'll do a second one. That would be great. Oh, Ghost Stories would have been... Why didn't I think of that until now? It would have been so much better than this. It's so stupid. It's so fun. Maybe that would be a whole different thing. I'll come back to it next year, maybe. Dang, I can't believe I did. I just watched it, too. I watched it earlier this month, too. Ooh, but yeah. So, I don't know why they keep having these abandoned or unused buildings or wings. Use them for something. Why are they still there? I don't know. But it was unlocked. Koichi and Mei decided to go in. There's a random person just throwing shit around looking for something. The person gives up, so Koichi goes in there. What a coincidence. Manages to find a cassette from 1983 about I assume the person that was looking for it went and killed someone, and after killing that person in the class, the curse stopped for them. No one else died that year. Which makes me think, how did the whole invisible person thing start? And did it even work? It must have worked, I guess. Otherwise, every year, a whole class would die. So the invisible thing must have worked at some point. I don't know. Maybe it's because... If I'm thinking, maybe the logic of the invisible person is treat that invisible person as the another. That way, the real ghost or whatever doesn't feel like it has to make room in the class. If it's included in the class, or it's not the one being left out, then it'll be fine. Something like that, I guess. I don't know. So someone else is excluded instead. The ghost doesn't have to worry. That's the only thing I can think of, because it doesn't really make much sense. Otherwise, it'll be happening every year, and it'll be a lot bigger thing. And you think they would just stop? You think they would just stop having class 3-3? You know, but of course they avoid 4 because that's a death. This came out on August 4th, right? Huh? It did. 4. Huh? Anyways, so yeah, they go and confront the person who was on the tapes. Person's like, I forgot, I don't remember any of that, but my hands remember, and my hands can't forget. And he's like, oh, because you choked the person out. No, because 3 of the fingers are cut off. And he's like, oh, yeah, it'd be hard to forget that, I guess. Anyway, so, there's a new plan. Reiko decides, and maybe all of them, did Koichi chime in on this? I don't remember. But Reiko decides that they're going to have a class outing to Sakitani Memorial Hall in order to try to stop the curse. Um, and now Mei and Koichi don't have to be invisible anymore. So the two are finally eating together in front of everyone, and two other people finally join them and eat. Of course, there's others that pop up and also start harassing them for it too. Things happen. This whole time, I keep forgetting. I don't think I mentioned it all. I think it's kind of obvious when Koichi is having to be in the hospital and see a nurse a lot. Koichi has what the internet says is pneumothorax, something like that, like lung or heart problems, something like that. I'm assuming it's a lung thing. What is it? Lung and chest. Yeah, is a collection of air in the pleural space between the lung and the chest walls. Okay, whatever. Something like that. Anyway, so that's going on, and while that is going on, for some reason, I guess you would need it just in case if you're investigating. Fuck, I'm blanking on names. Oh no, this is too much. It's not too much. Koichi brought the cassette, and of course, because people are nosy and people aren't really liking Koichi, the person Koichi is rooming with, I think has a name, Mizuno. Yeah, going through Mizuno's stuff. Yeah. And then listens to the tape, and then goes and tells everyone, and now everyone is suspicious of everyone, because now everyone thinks anyone could be the ghost. So everyone, well, I say everyone, a couple of people try to kill a couple of other people. There's actually one person, I don't remember if dies or not, but is definitely stabbed in the throat. I mean, another person we don't see die, but people say it happened. And then all this is happening. They're trying to do bad. They're trying to kill each other. Someone's trying to kill each of Koichi and Mei, two separate people. And in the process, they also die. And this is where just another bad effect happened. So, we see one of the people who killed someone is running out a window or something and gets caught up in an electric cable and dies like that. The one who is chasing Mei, who stabbed another student in the throat, but we don't know. I don't know if the student that got stabbed in the throat actually died or not. I don't remember we see it because the student didn't die right away. Anyways, the one that is chasing Mei, in the worst looking death of all of them, there was someone who was tying a boat off to a tree, and then during this chase sequence, Mei is running, and in between Mei passing this boat, the line gets pulled out and it gets tight, and then the other student chasing Mei lightly jogs into it. It wasn't even running very fast. Runs into the line and gets decapitated, and it looks so bad. One, it looks like a doll head. Okay. Then also, wasn't running very fast, and this doesn't look like it's razor wire. It doesn't look sharp. It doesn't even look metal. It may have been metal, but it kind of just looked like rope, kind of thick rope. You would have to go so fast for this to decapitate you, but it does. Okay, and then the person who's trying to kill Koichi with a knife in a kitchen, Koichi eventually, no, Mei saves Koichi with a pan. And then by the time I think it was Mizuno who was trying to kill Koichi. Yeah. By the time Mizuno gets up, also grabs the pan, hits something that causes a spark, and apparently there's a gas leak, and it causes an explosion, and now the building's on fire, and now everyone's having to flee. And while people are fleeing, there's really not that many deaths. I was like, oh, here it comes. A whole bunch of people are going to die. I think there's one student that falls off a balcony, because one student trips, the other trips over the student, which sends that student over the balcony. Maybe died, probably died. Yeah. And then it shows a couple other things of they're about to die. So there's one student, I don't remember names of all of them, but who's I don't remember it ever happening or where it happened, but got caught in weeds, I guess, while running, and there's a sharp spike thing, just penduluming, penduluming. I don't know if that's the actual word. Just swinging back and forth above this kid and trying to like crawl, but it's trapped. And then there's another group of students where there's just chainsaw, and the one student's like, I'm going to try to rev up this chainsaw to cut us out. And you're like, oh, well, that's going to end badly because I know what this movie is. But then May sees Reiko running further into the building while everyone else is running out. And May's like, well, that's weird. Also, I took off my eye patch, so this is the one that sees death now, and you look suspicious. So May goes after Reiko while everyone else is fleeing. Eventually, Koichi does realize May's still in there. So Koichi runs in, and then Shibiki also runs in, and they go and try to confront May, who is about to kill Reiko with an axe. Yeah. But then May is stopped, falls downstairs. Reiko takes off running. Shibiki goes after while Koichi helps May up. And then Shibiki confronts Reiko and is like, why are you alive? Or blah, blah, blah. I guess Shibiki maybe has never actually had or been face to face with Reiko this whole time. I don't know. I would have to double check. But then by the time Koichi and May get up there, I'm not gonna look at my notes anymore. I'm just trying to remember what happens in the scenes. Another just bad effect of something is coming out of Reiko. I don't know, some weird tentacle looking thing, maybe like a blood tentacle or something like that. Just a mysterious tentacle is coming out. And it ends up sending Shibiki off and falling into a fire. And then I don't remember exactly what happens. Somehow Reiko and Koichi are in a weird way to where they're both about to go on fire, or just Reiko or something. But then Koichi realizes, oh, this whole time it's been messing with my memories. Reiko's been interacting with the students, but it doesn't seem like has been interacting with anyone else, because you saw Reiko in the house with Koichi and the grandparent, but wasn't talking. You also see Reiko when we first see, apparently Koichi's memory was messed with, so I didn't realize Reiko was barefoot with like burnt feet or something like that. And it's just stuff like that. But then it's also just like Reiko seems completely conscious. Maybe Reiko also didn't realize they were a ghost, so maybe the ghosts don't know they're ghosts either, which would make it even harder, I guess. So it doesn't even seem malicious. It just seems like this is what happens. But yeah, eventually Reiko sacrificed himself somehow, and then those that were on the verge of death, like the pendulum kid, and then the kid who was about to use a chainsaw, ends up not using a chainsaw, and they all get out and they're safe. It seems like Reiko really was the ghost, and things are okay now. Yay. Yeah, so not too many deaths. I feel like a lot more people died in the anime. I also don't remember it concluding in the anime. I don't remember how the anime actually ended, or like if this was the same kind of scenario at all. And it's just like, I just thought it was like mindless killing in the anime, and maybe it wasn't. I just missed it. Like I said, it's been almost 10 years, so I don't remember it too clearly. Some of this stuff in the live action feels familiar, but not all of it is. So, wrapping up this film. It is now August 15th. Koichi wakes up in a hospital, and everyone has already forgotten about Reiko. Except for Koichi and May, apparently, I guess. They seem to remember. And of course, it's not like Reiko was just something that never existed. So, like the grandma remembers Reiko, but not like present Reiko, the one that was just here, just remembers Reiko was a child that died. And then time just moves on from here. August 18th, Koichi moves away. I guess the dad came back from India, has to say goodbye to May. And then a lot of time passes. Come April 2012, the new school year is about to start. And you see an older Koichi give a tape to some random student, who this random student ends up sitting in the desk in the very back. And then Chibiki comes in as the homeroom teacher for this student. And you're like, wait, I thought Chibiki died. Yes, Chibiki did die. So pretty much you're like, yeah, Chibiki is the ghost for this year. But it's like, but why this year? That's what I don't get. Is it only every so many years? Is it? It doesn't make sense when it happens, because we do see the process of Koichi making the tape, but why is Koichi given the tape now? Why not just have it passed on every year? Also, I mean, they remember enough to remember to do the invisible student. Why do they not just remember the tape? And I don't know. It's all weird. Also, where is May at? We don't know where May went. I don't know. But yeah. And then I'll say the creepiest part of the entire film, because it's not really a scary movie, it's just a gory death movie. But the creepiest part of this whole thing is when the tape goes off on its own, it seems like, and you hear May's voice. And it's like, oh, okay, that catches you off guard a little bit. And then that's it. That's the end of the film. It's like, oh, it's about to do it again. But why this year again? I know why this year, because if it would be April 2012, that was the same year the film came out. So I'd be like, oh, this, yeah. But, and then if it came out in August, this August is when it kind of concludes. So, yeah, it's not a terrible movie. And the more I talked about it, weirdly, the more I can make sense out of it. Now, last thing I will say about this film is the credit music is kind of too cool for this film. It's the typical kind of credit music you would probably get for a 2012 movie, but it makes absolutely no sense for this movie. It's just, it's just too cool, is what I'm saying. It's like, oh, that doesn't fit with the whole atmosphere of this movie at all. But I don't know. I don't remember if there was any other music in this film. Nothing that stood out, at least, because a lot of the bad stuff stood out a lot more. I already mentioned the sound effects and stuff. It's just kind of cheesy, but it's also what you would expect. I'll say at least some of the sound effects, the musical stings or whatever, are what you would expect from something like this, or a movie of this time. But yeah, that is another. The live action not as bad. You can watch it on Plex. It's free. You don't even have to make an account. You can just go on the app. I guess maybe the website too. You can just type in there and watch it. I know I just pretty much spoiled it all for you. I'm probably going to go back and just at least look through what happened in that, because I'm curious how they compare. But yeah, that is going to be it for me talking about another for this Alcohol Anime podcast. Let me know if you have another idea for another drink. Besides my another try, just tequila, terrible tequila and liquid death. Surprisingly good, but yeah, let's just talk about horror anime in general. If there is a horror anime film, or maybe even just more horror anime. I feel like I've watched most horror anime at this point. Maybe I missed something, but yeah, definitely more horror anime films, because there's plenty of live actions. But I don't want to do only live actions. So, I don't know. I'll keep my eye out, of course. But yeah, let's just talk more about that. More about anything, really. You can do that in comments if you can leave those on social media. I have a Discord. We can talk about whatever. You can also email me anything you want to. Well, not anything you want to. Anything you want to talk about. Don't sound like a bot, because I get a lot of those. And I like talking to people. Sorry, that rant. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you anyone who listened to this. Thank you to my Ko-fi Patreon supporter, Julio Vasquez. If you also want to help support me on there, go ahead, do it. I won't say that the money doesn't go to alcohol for this podcast, but that could be expense. But it does go towards stuff I make. But if you do, you get these shout outs, you get notes to everything I make, you get stories I write, all kinds of stuff. So go ahead and do that if you want. If not, whatever. But that is it for this Alcohol and Anime. I've been your talking Tanner, DHC Stories. Until next month, bye.